Good afternoon, good morning, depending on your time zone. My name is Jamison Keller. I'm the Vice President of Strategic Development with Agent CRM. I very much appreciate you joining us today for this webinar. Today we're going to have Aaron from Agent Methods present to us on 3 proven ways to use the web to unlock your sales. Once we're finished, Aaron is actually going to be providing, and I'll be pushing it out as well, providing us with a discount code in the case that you do want to use Agent Methods services. But the point of this conversation, the point of this webinar is not to be a commercial for Agent Methods. It's really to provide you some valuable information on how you can use digital marketing and use the web to increase your sales overall. It just happens that Agent Methods is a fantastic organization that will be able to help you with that if you choose to use them. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Aaron Kassover from Agent Methods. We met him in Omaha at a conference and really liked what they were doing and the expertise that they had. So we've invited Aaron to speak with Agent CRM agents to chat about this very valuable and not very chatted about topic. So with that, Aaron, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Jameson. I'm really happy to be here. It's morning for me. I'm in Seattle, Washington, so it's 10 a.m. on Friday. This is a good way to cap off the week for me. This is a topic that I think a lot about. Of course, it's what we do, but really it should be what you do as well. We'll talk about how the sales landscape is changing, and moving your business online or moving it more online is really important to the future of the independent agent. It's certainly the future of sales and the future of the way customers buy. Really quickly, this is a picture of me wearing my favorite shirt, and you can read my background. I'm the co-founder of Agent Methods. I am in Seattle, which I mentioned. I'm a father of 6.5-year-old twins, which is why I have those wrinkles. So my mornings right now are spent whisking them off to camp. They're at Y summer camp, which they're having a great time. And I get to come and focus on what I do during the day, and then back to the twins in the evening. That's basically my life. I'm sure many of you can relate to that. But enough about me. I'm curious where all of you are. So maybe take a second in the chat box. Let's just hear kind of where people are located, where you're all calling in from. Just type in your city. Oh, another Seattle. Hi from Seattle. It's going to be hot today. Sandpoint, Idaho, probably hot there as well. Spokane. All right, we have Washington State and then the Northwest covered, and then okay, New Jersey, Texas, another Seattle. That's exciting. It's funny to go online to this sort of national forum and then speak to a bunch of people in my own neighborhood. Okay, let's dive into the agenda. So today we're going to talk about 4 things. The first is the sales environment, and not just insurance, but really all sales, how the sales environment has changed, and why it's changing insurance sales forever. The changes, it's been happening for the past 10 years, but it's really become very, very, very present more recently. I think you'll relate to it, but it's something we need to talk about. The second is how can you capture customer interest online and use that to get more leads. Of course, we have the 3 proven ways to get more sales online. And then we have a special offer for Agent CRM agents at the end. This is not intended to be a commercial, so we're not going to focus too much on that right now. So first off, how sales has changed. And there's really two really big ways. The first, customer driven. And it used to be, if you wanted to learn about insurance, and many of you know this, that the way to learn about insurance was to go talk to an insurance agent. That really all of the information about products available, all the information about what types of coverage a product could offer, even just kind of general knowledge about insurance, you would go to an agent to learn from them and to gain that. And that was when it was a sales-driven, agent-driven sales process. Today, really all the information that we have is available online to our customers as well. They can go and search via Google questions. They can find information about products. They can compare pricing. The information is in our customers' hands. And because of that, they don't have to come to us. We're no longer a gatekeeper to the sales process. They can drive the sales process with or without us. They can choose to use an agent, or they can choose to go it alone. And that means that we have to position ourselves in a different way. We no longer are the leaders, we're the coaches. And this is true in insurance, it's true really in all sales. Certainly if any of you have bought a car in the past few years, you know that we can go and we can see how much a dealer paid for a car. We can see what kind of incentives that dealer gets to sell the car. We can see what kind of financing the dealer has gotten to purchase the car, to have it sit in their lot. We can see what pricing other people have paid for the same car. And that's completely changed the purchase process for really every sort of large purchase a customer makes today. And customers have become used to that. The second is information is mobile, and our smartphones are kind of becoming our second brains. I know that my kids, if they ask me a question, I don't know the answer, they say, well, Dad, ask Siri. Siri knows everything. We have the ability to get instant answers to questions, and we now expect instant answers. We expect that if there's something we need, if there's something that we're looking for, no matter where we are, no matter when, we should be able to get the answer. We're always connected. It's always with us. It has become the first stop for all answers to all questions. And that change in our behavior is changing the way that we buy, it's changing the way that we sell, and it's changing the way that we need to engage with our customers. So what does this mean? Certainly, the who's on first is a question I think that is something we have to ask now in the sales process, with customers driving the process, with us not being in charge anymore. What's going on? Who's where? We need to support our customers on their paths instead of being the one who guides them. We need to be their coach. Certainly, trust and authenticity are more important than ever, because customers drive the process. They don't want to feel like they're being sold to. They don't want to feel like information is being withheld. They're not getting the complete picture, or certainly that people aren't being honest with them. Customers become very sensitive to trust and authenticity. We know that if you go and knock on a customer's door, or pick up the phone and call the customer, usually you don't get them. They're not available to us. We have to be available to them. We have to be ready to respond to them when they want to talk, as opposed to having them be ready when we want to talk. And then the last one is that customers today expect a high level of technical sophistication from the people they buy from. And we know that we communicate online, we communicate with our friends and family online, we shop online, we make purchases of all sizes online, we manage our retirement, we manage our banking, our finances online, things that are very complicated, very high value tasks that we do as consumers, we do online, and we do it with confidence now. Now, we've seen some of that shaken over the past few months with what's happened with Facebook and social media, where there's been some eroding of trust on online, but it hasn't stopped people from shopping or managing their finances. And in fact, what it's done is it's made customers more sophisticated. They've now become more skeptical about whether they should trust an organization online. And so that means that we have to show that level of sophistication, we have to show that capability, so that they can recognize that we are trustworthy and somebody they should do business with. And that's become more important than ever. This is something I hear agents tell me quite often, which is, I don't need a website. I get all of my customers coming through referrals, and that is great. If you have a business where you're getting referrals as the majority of your new customers, that's the dream we all want to get to. Those are the best customers you'll get. But the reality is that the referral process, it's moved online too. And I'll explain that. You used to give out a stack of business cards to your customers and say, hey, if you have any friends or family that need the products I'm selling, just pass them on this business card and have them give me a call. That's when we were in the control of the process. The way referrals work today, and if you think about this, it makes complete sense, is that people throw those business cards away, and instead they'll just say, oh, you were looking for a med sup, you should call Aaron Kassover, he's the agent I worked with. And the referring person expects the referral will just go and Google you. They'll go and type in your name and find you that way. Yeah, look up Aaron Kassover. You can find his website. Or they might go a step further. I'll email you a link to his website, and they'll go and do the Googling, find my website, and forward the email on. The referral process has moved online. And so if you're not online, if you can't be found by your name through a search, if it's not easy to look you up, then if you live on referrals, if your business is based on referrals, you are missing out on referrals right now. The referral process, just like everything else, has moved online. Now, insurance used to be, it's obviously the most risk-averse industry because it's all about managing risk. It used to be the slowest changing industry. Insurance used to evolve with new technology as the last to adopt any new technology. That's not the case anymore. Change has arrived to insurance, and the hedge fund managers, the venture capitalists, the people with lots of money where they want to go, where they see high growth, have recognized insurance technology as being one of the big places where there's huge opportunity for them. And you can see here, these are a few of the companies, just a few. This is the tip of the iceberg of startups that have raised big money. And you can see what kind of money these companies have raised with the goal of cutting us out. They want to cut out the independent agents, take the business online, capture the new sales, sell direct. There's companies like Policy Genius, which is selling life insurance, growing tremendously quickly. They've raised $51 million to build out their technology, to build out their marketing. Ladder, you've probably seen some of these names before. These companies are our new competition. It's not the agent next door. It's people who are selling differently. And we need to address this. We need to look at these companies and say, how can we compete? What can we do differently? And how can we make sure that the customers don't go to them with their $131 million or $892 million to get that customer in, and instead go to us? When you have $892 million in the bank, you're going to lose money to get sales. And you and I can't do that. So we need a different approach. It's not all doom and gloom. There is an approach to go forward, and we certainly all have one very key asset that none of those companies have, which is ourselves. As a real person, as a real agent that somebody can have a relationship with, that's a strength that no venture capital can match. And certainly this anonymous experience of buying online through somebody who's you can't see, whose name you don't know, it's hard for them to build trust and authenticity, whereas we as real people can do it much more naturally. And so we're going to talk about ways that you can do that. You can position your greatest asset in compared to these insurance tech startups to compete effectively. So 3 ways that you can move your sales online to grow your business. The first is to not just think about the web as a place where you get leads. It's easy to think about, oh, okay, search engines, people are looking for Medicare supplement insurance in Texas. They'll find my website, they'll run a quote, I'll get a lead, and then I can work the lead offline. Because of the way customers are now driving the process where they want to purchase and they want to learn through their path as opposed to our path, we need to move our entire sales process online. Not just lead gen, but it's the entire life cycle. And here's what it looks like. You need to think about your website as supporting your customers, your prospects throughout the entire sales process. So certainly generating leads, bringing in new leads is a big part of that. But in order to sell a lead, they have to trust you. They have to feel like you're credible and that you offer a solution that's going to match their needs. So you have to build relationships online. You have to give them a way to get to know you and see that you're an expert, to see that you're somebody that they can trust, they want to buy from. You need to support a sales decision. So if somebody's looking at a quote that you've given them, you need to give them supporting information as to why that's the right decision to make a purchase. Over a long period of time, the life of a customer relationship, you need to nurture that relationship. You need to make sure that they see you as somebody who brings them value, who is engaging with them, who's informing them, who cares about them, who they can go to with questions. Because you want to keep that relationship so that if they ever decide they want to change their policy, they go back to you. If they ever have somebody they want to refer to, they refer them to you. If they ever want to buy a new policy, they go to you. People don't think about insurance the way we do, or as often as we do, and they even often forget who they bought their product from. And so we want to get over that. We want to nurture relationships and use the web as a way to automate that process. We want to encourage cross sales, of course, educate our customers about other things that we can offer them, other ways we can help them, and then we want to increase referrals. So we need to think about not just lead gen, but doing all of these things, because ultimately it's supporting sales, nurturing relationships, cross sells, referrals. That's where our business snowballs. It leads to the first step, but it's not the end all. Okay, so ways we can do that. The first one is to remember that your website is not just a quote form, and I've seen a lot of this where every product page is just get a quote on med sup, get a quote on final expense, get a quote on Part D, get a quote on travel insurance, but there isn't additional content, there aren't additional educational resources. So you want to load your website up with great educational content. Give your customers a chance to go and learn from you, to feel like you're investing in them, that you're taking the time to teach them, to help them become better customers, so that when they're going through their sales process, which they're in charge of, you want them to know they can go to your website as a resource, that they can count on you as somebody they can go back to refer to. So great educational content. And you even want to go a step further and help customers find that. So you might do things like think about the most important thing somebody who's turning 65 needs to know about med subs. What's the thing that everybody gets wrong, or what's the question you're always answering? And maybe record a video on that. Put it on YouTube, embed it on your website, or write, even a short bullet pointed article about that. Put it on your website. And then in your email signature, instead of just saying, here's my phone number on my website, you can say, here's my phone number on my website, and here is the number one thing somebody turning 65 needs to know about MedSup. So you're giving them a reason to go and learn from you beyond just, here's my website. So start thinking about how you can refer people to your site throughout the sales process to educate them, to make them better informed customers, better informed consumers. The next one, having seen the traffic on several thousand insurance websites, a pattern I've seen consistently is that the About Us page is one of the most visited pages on websites. It's not an ignored page, even though we tend to think it's sort of, we don't want to talk about ourselves, but customers want to go see who you are. If they got a quote from you, if they got a phone call from you, they want to go look you up. They want to check you out. And they want to see that you're the right person to sell to people like them, that you have the products that they have that they need, but they also want to get to know you. They want to know, why do you sell insurance? Are you from their community? What kind of person are you? And so I recommend that agents always spend some time, put a photo. This is a fun photo of my daughter and I when she was a little younger. Put a photo on your About Us page. It's okay to get personal. It's okay to be real. It's okay to even be a little informal. Talk about what brought you to sell insurance. If you did something else before you sold insurance, what that was. You can talk about your hobbies, your family life, where you live, what you do besides selling insurance. Because all of those things are those key ingredients that make somebody feel like they have a relationship with you. If they know a little bit about you, they're going to feel more connected to you. And that's something that's Policy Genius or Next Insurance or those other startups, they can't do that. They can't compete with you on that level. No matter how much money they have, they can't develop that personal connection that you can. And so leverage that and do it on your About Us page. The next thing on your website is to engage with people who aren't ready to quote. And so certainly when somebody's ready to buy and they're very incentivized to see a price of a product, they'll go and fill out a quote form. Otherwise, quote forms are pretty intrusive and pretty threatening. to go in and give somebody your age, maybe your birth date, your height and weight, your marital status. These are personal questions that feel kind of invasive. And so somebody who's just kind of looking around trying to educate themselves, they're not going to fill out a quote form. And so if your website is full of quote forms only, and there's no other ways to engage, you're going to miss out on people earlier in the process. And so, for example, I have a screenshot of a site here where there's a pop-up message offering on a Medicare supplement page, want me to send you a copy of our Medicare and You guide. That's a simple guide. It's from CMS. You can go and grab it and create a pop-up that somebody can put in their email, and then you send them this guide. Really easy to do, super non-threatening, adding value to them. You're giving them something for free, and then you have their email address, and now you can begin the conversation with them. We found that simple pop-ups like this, where you're offering information, offering value, can perform as much as 20 times better than a standard quote form does. And so imagine that if you can increase the engagement, increase the number of relationships you build by 20 times in your site, that's going to produce more sales. You just have to think about your website not just being about a place to go for quotes, but as a place to go for customers who are looking to learn about insurance in other ways. And then the final thing I'm going to recommend on websites is if you have a blog, to blog about topics that your customers care about. And I've said this a few times before, our customers don't think about insurance very often, not as often as we do certainly, but way often than they should, way less often than they should. And so we can go one step away from insurance and talk about retirement or personal finances, but I'd say go even further and think about who your customers are, what they have in common, and what they care about. So if they're retirees, it might be time with family, spending time with your grandkids. It might be travel destinations. It might be online learning, taking an online art class. And engaging with your customers beyond just the products you sell on your blog will help them know that you're not just focused on product. You also understand who they are. We'll talk more about this in social media because it applies there as well. Okay, number 2. So number 1 is moving your entire sales process online. Number 2 is to start email marketing. And I say start because most insurance agents aren't doing it. And it's too bad because email marketing is probably the best marketing channel that's ever been invented. The stat here, $1, this comes from the Content Marketing Institute, $1 invested in email marketing produces $44 in sales. You're not going to find a better return on investment than that. That's stuff that marketers dream of, and it's fairly easy to do. Yet we did a survey this year about email marketing, and we found that 26% of insurance agents have ever done email marketing. 1 in 4 have done it. And even of those 1 in 4, very few of them are doing it regularly, consistently, are doing it with a strategy, are doing it right. And it's not hard to do. There's tools out there that make the process really simple. We just have to do it. So how do you do email marketing right? I'm going to give you a couple tips to think about when you're doing email marketing because you all should be doing it. The first is to have only one call to action. And a call to action is what you want people to do. When somebody gets your email, what do you want them to do? And you want to understand what you're asking of them and use that as the basis for your email campaign. Focus on that action you want customers to take. You want to direct people to that call to action. You want to explain the benefits of taking that action, and you want to appeal to their emotion so they can see how their lives may be better by taking this action. One call to action. You see the numbers here. One call to action as opposed to more than one. It increases the clicks you get in your emails by 371% and sales by over 1,600%. So think about that, having one call to action as opposed to 2, which causes somebody to make a choice, or more than 2, which causes confusion. having one call to action really focuses people. Now, a few notes about choosing your call to action. Clear, concrete calls to action where you outline exactly what someone gets works better. So, for example, a call to action that says, questions about med sup, let's talk, or get a free consultation. Those are not very concrete. And so people are not sure what they're going to talk about or what they're going to get consulted on. Those don't work as well as a call to action that's like, see your rates or get a free coverage review, where it's very clear and very concrete. So think about that in your emails. What is something you can offer people? Clear, concrete, that's going to provide them with value that they're going to see a benefit in. The second thing, if there are any writers in the crowd, I may fall into this trap sometimes. Go easy on the text. 65% of consumers say they prefer email that is mostly made up of images. And if you want to see a company that does great email marketing, it's Apple. They use great visuals with just a few headlines or bullet points. You want to put in your key offer, your key benefits of that offer, and the call to action, and then use the rest of the space to engage people emotionally. You can see this is an email from Fidelity, a picture of a young family. Certainly that's a good target for a term policy, and you can see how happy the family is, how much they love their daughter, and because they're happy and they love their daughter, they're going to buy a term policy. Certainly if you're a young parent, you'd want to feel that way, and so that's going to appeal emotionally to that buyer. So think about visuals that are going to connect with people around the benefit of the call to action that you're promoting. This is an easy one. Send your emails on Tuesday. Send them on Tuesday. Tuesday gets the most opens and most clicks. There have been a lot of studies on this, and they all point to Tuesday. So do your email marketing, schedule them to go out on Tuesday. And the last thing I'll say about email marketing is that spam gets deleted and blocked, so don't do it. And by spam, I mean sending email to people who they don't know you and they haven't given you permission to email to them. Instead, you want to build your list organically. It's better to have a small list, even 25 names, go and collect a few names and start growing it over time, than it is to buy a big list or scrape a list or get a list somewhere else. Because 25 emails that get opened and read will be much more effective than 25,000 emails that go into spam filters and then shut the channel down for you. So it's okay to have a small list. You'll get a better response than a big list that doesn't know you. Start small and start collecting email addresses. If you don't have a list right now, just go and gather up prospects whose emails you have, friends and family who know that you sell insurance, referral sources or people that you share business with, and start there. And then even if you grow by 5 or 6 emails a month, if you just put in 5 or 6 emails a month, over a year, that's 50, 60, 70 new email addresses. And you'll start to see some benefits and some return, even from a small list like that. So don't put off your email list anymore. Start collecting those emails. Okay, number 3, social media. A lot of talk about social media. There is a right way to do social media, and there's a wrong way to do social media. But before we do that, let's talk about how social media can help you. And these are some statistics I'll give you about how social media influences purchases that are kind of jaw-dropping. The first one, influence purchases, and this is a study from 2015, so it's 3 years old, and the number's probably even higher. But in 2015, Facebook influenced 52% of consumers' online and offline purchases. So over half of consumer purchases in 2015, Facebook had an influence on. And this might have been an ad on Facebook. It might have been seeing a friend or family follow on Facebook, recommend. It might have been a discussion about a product on Facebook. It might have been engaging with that brand on Facebook. But 52% of consumers' purchases online and offline were influenced by Facebook in 2015. The second one, increasing referrals. 71% of consumers say they are more likely to recommend a service or brand after a positive social media interaction. Actually, not even more likely, that they are likely. 71% of consumers are likely to recommend a service or brand after a positive social media interaction. So if in the next month you have 10 interactions in social media, so you have 10 interactions with people, you now have 7 new potential referral sources. It's huge. And so having positive interactions, even in a very small scale via social media, can build an army of referral sources for you. And the third point here, building relationships that lead to sales. 50% of boomers, 70% of Gen Xers say they are more likely to make a purchase from a brand they follow. So if you can get your customers, if you're selling to boomers, if you can get your customers to follow you, to engage with you online through social media, that's going to increase the likelihood they'll make a purchase from you. And so you put these three things together, and you can see how social media, even in a fairly small scale, can have a big impact on sales. Okay, so how do you do it right? Well, first, how you do it wrong is you push your own agenda. So if you're promoting, get a quote on insurance, learn about MedSup, here's an article about insurance, contact me if you have a question about insurance. If you're pushing your agenda, you're gonna lose trust. You're gonna come off as being too salesy, and people will tune you out. 46% of social media users say they will unfollow a brand for posting too many promotional messages. So just don't do that. It's easy not to do that. And so instead, here's what you should do. It's the rule of thirds. And you can think about your posts, your engagement in social media as being broken down into 3 categories you want to do evenly. The first is sharing interesting content and articles on the things that your customers care about. So stuff they're going to find interesting. The second is engaging commentary, dialogue to bring your audience in. So maybe it's asking them questions, maybe it's making comments on things they're saying or doing, but it's engaging with people in a direct conversation. And the third can be promotional. I have a picture of Puff Daddy, or P. Diddy, here because he has 14 million Twitter followers. And you can see that he follows the rule of thirds. He has a necklace right here that he made. I think that's to remind him of the rule of thirds. So he keeps his 14 million Twitter followers happy. Maybe it's not. So instead, what should you post about? What should you talk about on social media? Certainly, we can go a step away from insurance and talk about personal finance. We can talk about retirement. We can talk about protecting your family and your assets. But I recommend going even further back. Again, thinking about what your customers care about, who they are, and making it fun, making it interesting, making it engaging, making it a chance for them to participate. And so here are a few kind of off the top of my head ideas that you absolutely can do. The first is to take pictures of flowers in your neighborhood. Certainly here in Seattle, the past few months, everything has been blooming. In my neighborhood, you can walk around and find a beautiful yard every third house. And so you could post pictures of flowers that are in bloom right now. And your customers might find that fun. They might find it something they want to talk to you about. You could do restaurant reviews, new restaurants in your neighborhood or your city. You could talk about dream travel destinations. Certainly if you're marketing to retirees that have some free time, they're probably dreaming of travel if not doing it. And so you can talk about amazing places to go and see. I had an agent call me, and he said that I put the high school football team, I put their game schedule on my website, and now it's the most trafficked page on my website. How do I stop that? And I laughed. I was like, no, that's okay. That's okay. It's okay for people to come to you for that too, because it shows that you're part of their community, and it helps them engage with your brand in a way that's not just you pushing your products on them. You could do a quest for the best ice cream. I'd certainly love to do this. Go find the best ice cream in your county, and as you search out that ice cream, review or even do a short video about where you're at and what you had and if you liked it. Things that are fun for people to follow along with. And if you follow brands on social media, you'll see the ones that do social media well will do this. They'll go off topic and they'll engage people in lots of different ways. Okay, so we've covered a lot here. We've talked about moving your sales process online and having a better website. We've talked about email marketing. We've talked about social media. Certainly these are big concepts. We haven't gotten technical and we don't have to, but it is a question of how do you do it all the right way? How do you get all this done without going crazy? We're all busy enough already. And that's where Agent Methods comes in. That's what we do. And so if you're saying, okay, Aaron, I'm with you, but how do I get this done? We're here to help. So we offer everything you need to launch an online presence. No design, no development, no technical stuff, no writing. We'll give you legitimacy. We'll help you build trust and relationships. We'll give you a professional online presence. We can help you with your social media, with your email marketing, with bringing your sales process online. We've designed websites to sell insurance. We've launched about 3,700 insurance agent websites now. I think it's 3,770 something. We know what works, and we've put that into our process. So we have content ready to go. We know how to deal with search engines. We know how to deal with mobile devices. We make it easy to update. We give you support that isn't just good at the techie stuff, but you can call us up and ask us a question like, hey, we're going to have a seminar on MedSup at the library next month. How can we get people to it? And we're used to talking about stuff like that as well. So there's a lot more to our platform here that we need to go into. There's an offer for agent CRM agents, which is if you're interested in doing the things I've been talking about, if you're interested in taking your business online and growing your business through the web, we're offering an extra 30 days. So it's 45 days free of our service. So for 45 days, you can get online, you can get to work, you can see how it helps you without paying a dime. And if this is interesting to you, let's talk. You can email me, aaron@agentmethods.com. We can set up a one-on-one demo. I can show you how it works. Or you can go to agentmethods.com and learn more there. So with that, let's go back to you all and see what questions people have.
So thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. We'll get to questions here in just a minute, but I wanted to call out a couple of things that I heard that I think were very, very important. First off, I strongly recommend everybody have a website, have an online presence, even if you don't plan, you say, I get everything through referrals or whatever it may be. People want to look you up. People want to know who you are, especially as we get the boomers coming into the Medicare business and we're accessing their adult children that are helping them make decisions. People want to know who you are, and they don't go to the yellow pages anymore. They don't go to the old traditional sources. They're going online, and they're especially going online through their mobile devices. And so having a partner like Agent Methods in your back pocket that can help you to develop a website that both works on desktop as well as works on mobile, which is called responsive, in case you ever hear those words, is a very important thing. So definitely I would recommend everybody take advantage of a one-on-one conversation with Aaron. Their services are quite affordable, and they're not going to break your pocketbook. As you know, Agent CRM doesn't sell directly. We recruit and we market to agents, and we work with you to grow your business. And our business has just absolutely taken off once we redid our website and once we really got into email marketing. In fact, every one of you is here on this call today because of an email marketing campaign that I put out. So obviously, email marketing reaches people. You see the stuff that we're putting out every day. So definitely recommend reaching out to Aaron. Even if you have a different vendor that you want to use, that's fine too. But Aaron and Agent Methods, I think, are a really good opportunity for you guys. I do want to get into questions here. So while I go through the next kind of piece here, if you've got a question, you can either raise your hand in that GoToMeeting control panel, and I'll be able to unmute your microphone, and we can talk through live what your questions are. Otherwise, you can go ahead and type your question into the chat box. And we'll read that question live and get those answers. So while you're doing that, I want to cover email marketing real fast. So most of you work in Medicare insurance. And as we know, Medicare has had a lot of rules surrounding email marketing and websites and the such in the past. Well, I don't know how many of you opened up that really extremely long compliance corner email that we sent out a couple of days ago related to the announcement of the new Medicare communication and marketing guidelines. But there's a really, really important thing, and there's a number of really important things in there. Go read that email. But one of the biggest changes that we're seeing is CMS is now allowing for email marketing to Medicare beneficiaries. It used to be that you had to get somebody to opt into your email marketing. So they had to say, yes, please, proactively, please email me stuff. Now that's not the case. Now it's an opt-out situation. So if you have email addresses for all your clients, you can now email them marketing materials and marketing information and communications and things along those lines without violating CMS rules, as long as you have an unsubscribe option. Now, there's still a lot of other rules I don't want everybody to be aware of, and if an Agent CRM can help you here as far as navigating these murky waters, there's something called the Can Spam Act that you need to make sure that you're not in violation of, and that's where you just go and get a whole bunch of email addresses that you bought off a list and you start sending people emails. As Aaron mentioned, that's not a good idea. It doesn't work, and it'll get you in hot water real quickly. There's also, of course, the HIPAA and Medicare marketing rules that you have to focus on, and so don't put benefit information in emails and things along those lines without making sure that you either have carrier or CMS approval. So if you want to do email marketing, you have thoughts on what you want to put out there, of course, Agent CRM is here to support you on what is compliant and what's not. So I see one question so far that we're going to go ahead and address real quick, and it looks like this one's for me, Aaron. It says, I sell Medicare-specific insurance. Aren't the rules very strict for Medicare websites? So yes, the rules are very strict for Medicare websites, and even further strict with the new guidelines that just came out. It used to be that you could submit your website for approval to CMS, but you could have it live during that process. And now you can't do that. It cannot go live until CMS approves it. But there's a lot of ways to actually put up a website and have information about Medicare and about what you do and serve people without going as far as needing CMS approval on your website. So if you don't put benefit information on a website, you're not putting those regulated pieces of Medicare, then you don't generally need CMS approval. If you're putting any information about a carrier, you probably still need carrier approval. But there's a lot of things you can still do and not get into all those regulatory kind of approval processes that can be long and drawn out. One thing I will call out is never put a carrier's logo on your website without specific written approval from that carrier. They all have processes to do it, and you don't want to get in violation of your contract by putting that up there without specific approval. So, Aaron, do you have any comments on that? Because I know you guys do a lot of Medicare websites too.
We do a lot of Medicare websites, and of course there's state-specific stuff that we need to watch out for. But it's something that we do of our customers. The vast majority of them are focused on the senior market, and so it's not a showstopper, and we can help you navigate those waters.
So the fact that you've got Agent CRM in your pocket, as well as you've got the opportunity to work with Agent Methods, who has experience here, this is a major reason why it's a really good idea to not just go at it alone. Use those experts that you have available to you to ensure that you have not only a very effective website, an effective web presence, but you're also doing it in a way that is regulatory compliant. I've got another question here that's popped up. It says, how much does it affect Google rankings when you don't have a brick and mortar office? Aaron, I'm going to leave that one to you, man.
Yeah, that's a good question. And where it really becomes key is something called local search optimization. The dream online is that we can sell anywhere. We can go onto the web and we can now sell in all 50 states. from our home. I'm working from my home office right now, and I imagine many of you are as well. But the reality is that the bigger the geography that we cover, the more competition we're facing. And so if you go from selling in your city or your county to the entire nation, you have much more competition. The strongest market you're going to have is your local market, and that's true with search engines as well, where you're going to have an opportunity to rank locally where you can't rank nationally. Phrases like Medicare supplement quotes, tremendously competitive to rank on, but there's a chance you can get traffic through local search. And the way that Google and Bing and other search engines know how to prioritize different websites in local search is by their physical location. So if you don't have a brick and mortar, that's okay, but you'll still want to make sure that the search engines know of you and being in some physical location.
So
So
make sure you've got a city and a state located as far as for part of your business name, while you may not have
yeah,
a very specific address. Is that what you're saying?
I think that you should still put your address on your website because people are not going to get in the car and show up at your house. They're not going to come looking to you, to knock on your door and get a sales presentation. That's just not how customers buy anymore. So by putting your physical location on your website and then a few other places, it's going to prove to search engines that that's where you're based. That's where you're located.
What do you think about a PO box if somebody doesn't want to put their actual home address up on the web?
So the problem with PO boxes is that people who live in different areas were getting PO boxes in maybe very affluent neighborhoods or neighborhoods that had more of their target market, and the search engines have caught on to that. And so a PO box is not going to have the same authority in terms of pinpointing your location that a physical address will.
Okay, interesting. So we have a question that came up: who do we contact at Agent CRM? And it's really going to be, the answer here is really going to be dependent on what it is specifically that you're looking for. If you're looking for guidance on how to move forward, I would recommend calling 855-721-8088. I put that in the chat box. That's our normal service line. You can call and say, hey, here's what I'm looking for, and they're going to get you to the right person. That's probably going to be myself. It might be Don Schaefer, but we're going to be able to help you. It might be easier, though, if you were to email us and kind of tell us what you're looking for so we can schedule time to talk and make sure that not only do you have the right person, but we've got the right kind of frame of mind and tools that we need up to be able to support you. So you could do that through service at Agent CRM or compliance at agentcrm.com. If you have already built a website and you say, look, I want you guys to review this before I put this live to make sure I don't put myself in CMS jail, we are happy to do that. In fact, we recommend that. We would love to look at your website and give it a once over and tell you, hey, we think that you've got a problem here. If you do this, you're going to need CMS approval. Or if you do this, you're going to need to go to a carrier. We're not going to review it to the depth that we say, hey, you've got a typo here, or we don't like your message on this, or whatever it may be. But we're going to give you the idea as to whether or not we need to go to a carrier or we need to go to CMS. So to do that, you would actually just send that request to compliance at agentcrm.com and request a website review and let us know where it's at so we can look at that. We'll work through that. Are there other questions out there? So, I'm going to talk for just a second, but if you've got a question, raise your hand in the system or type it in. So definitely, if you are interested in creating a web presence or bettering your web presence, reach out to Aaron at agentmethods.com. Via email, or give Aaron a call. I don't know if you've got your phone number up here anywhere, Aaron, but Agent Methods, I've seen a number of the sites that they've put up. I've seen what they've done for agents in the past, and it really is a really great opportunity. And as I mentioned earlier, the pricing is right. It's a good way to make sure that you have not only a very effective site, but because then you also have their expertise in Medicare on the back end, it's a good way to also make sure that you are compliant. Aaron, I see you sent me your phone number directly. There we go. Okay, good. It's out to everybody now. So phone number is 206-774-6783. So there's another question that's come in that says, the email marketing statistics that Aaron mentioned, were they specific to the age 60 plus demographic?
They were not.
Okay. And then, is it compliant to market yourself and your site via a billboard? It's really going to depend on what you say on that billboard. I would say in general, yes, but if you go and say, I'm the Medicare expert in the Seattle area and I work for CMS, then we're going to have major problems. So I would recommend, if you're going to put a billboard up or something along those lines, let's just make sure that we're compliant, we're following those Medicare communication and marketing guidelines, and you can do that by reaching out to Agent CRM. We're happy to help you.
I would look into the responses of billboards as well. From what I've heard, is billboards are really good at making you feel good about your brand because you see it large, but they don't have the best response rates unless they're done in a very large scale.
Aaron, that's actually a really good point that we should call out. Most of you on this call are probably not marketers. You're salespeople, and there's a very big difference between sales and marketing that half the world tends to forget. And so when it comes to advertising, all right, that's putting your brand out. That's putting things out that says what you do. All right, marketing is targeting more on a data-specific level, targeting the people that you're trying to reach. But there's different types of advertising and marketing, and one is called direct response, or the other type is just really branding marketing, and we're talking really high level here. And so a billboard is typically branding. You're going to get people to recognize your brand more often, but very few people are going to pick up the phone and call based on a website or based on a billboard, or there are very few people are going to go to a website or email you based on a billboard. Think about it. You're probably driving by at 60 miles an hour. You see it. You maybe recognize the brand and then connect that to other forms of marketing, all right, that are done out there, maybe newspaper, or direct mail, or email, or website. But it's unlikely you're going to get somebody to actually respond to that. So think about the types of marketing and advertising you're doing. What is it that it's actually going to do for you? Billboard's going to be very expensive, and it might get some name recognition for you, but it's unlikely to generate leads. So any other questions that we have? So Agent CRM is very, very soon going to have, and very soon, I mean as of today or Monday, we'll have a new section of our website that you will be able to log into using your my.agentcrm.com credentials, where we're going to have certain things available to you that we don't want available to the general public. One of those things is going to be agent methods listed on there that says, hey, if you go and you contact these guys and you mention that you are an Agent CRM agent, or an Agent CRM affiliated agent, you guys all have your own businesses. But if you mention that you are affiliated with us, then they're going to give you those first 45 days of a new website free to be able to test drive their service and check this thing out. So we're going to put out emails about that. Make sure you watch for those emails that explain the new section of the website. There's actually a new leads vendor that we're going to put up as well that gives you 30% off lead pricing. So that's a pretty exciting thing for you. If you don't yet have a my.agentcrm.com login credential, go to my.agentcrm.com and you can register right there. Use the email address that is on file with us, and you'll be able to get in, and there's lots of great tools available to you there. If you haven't yet explored that, go explore it. Check out our webinars where we go through the MyArm tool to learn about all the fun stuff that you can do in there and support your business. I do have a question saying, would you provide Aaron's email address, please? It's really easy. It's aaron@agentmethods.com, and I'm typing it into the chat box as we speak. If I could type today, it would help. So aaron@agentmethods.com. It's on your screen as well. You can go to agentmethods.com and reach out to them there as well. And then Aaron put his phone number in the chat box too. Let's see here. Can an existing website be used? I don't think so, but Aaron, what do you think?
Not on our platform. We can help you move your content over though, and you migrate to our system.
Aaron, what's the average time to get a website? Assuming somebody has nothing set up today, what's the average time to go from I want a website to I'm live for one of these agents?
It really depends on how much you want to review and customize the site. We've had sites get online as fast as the same day, but usually I'd say within a week. Give yourself.
So this is not a long, drawn-out, year-long process. Somebody's going to spend all their time trying to get up and running. They can get up and running very quickly using the tools that you have and the expertise that you have.
Yeah, our goal is to make this as easy for you as possible, so it's not taking up all of your free time. We want to help you
Perfect.
get it done quickly.
Perfect. Well, folks, it doesn't look like we have any additional questions right now. Aaron, thank you very much for your time today and for going over this very valuable information. Everybody on the phone, I am recording this call, and so I'm going to edit this and get it up on our website if you wanted to review it again. I appreciate your time joining us today. If you have additional questions, and it looks like I've got one in here that just came in, I'll address here in a second, but if you have additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Agent CRM at 855-721-8088 or service@agentcrm.com, and we'd be more than happy to help you. The last question here before we sign off is, do you own the website? I hear horror stories of website builders controlling the website and not allowing the customer to ever leave. Aaron, do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I'd be interested in hearing what horror stories you've heard. We don't do any contracts. Our customers are allowed to leave. Any content you put on our platform is yours. We're very unrestrictive about that. No contracts, no cancellation fees.
But as you guys are building the design, you own ultimately the design. So if somebody decides to leave your service and go somewhere else, they can take the content that they've built, they can take the messaging and things like that, but they're going to need to redesign it into a different look if they move to another platform. Is that right?
That's right. But I think if they're leaving, it's because whatever they're doing with us is not working for them. So they'd probably want to take a different approach anyway.
That makes sense to me. So, all right, folks, with that, thank you very much for attending today. If you need anything else, 855-721-8088. Watch for this video to be up on our website within the next week or so, or very soon, under the Tools section of the Agent CRM website. Have a fantastic day, and we look forward to seeing you on future webinars. Thank you.